Aaron Tuttle here. It's storm season in Oklahoma, and with that comes torrential rain, high winds, and hail. To protect your home and your family from these threats, the one roofing company you should trust is Ferguson Roof Systems. They've been providing the best in roofing services for nearly half a century. Ferguson is Oklahoma's full-service roofing company, certified with an A+ Better Business Bureau rating and a 5-star rating on Google. And with Ferguson now offering Class 4 impact-resistant shingles, now is the time to trust them with your home's roof. Get started today at FergusonRoofSystems.com.
Hey AT's weather crew, welcome back. It is about 9:35 here in Oklahoma City. We are broadcasting live here tonight on AT's weather to talk about the threat for severe weather on Friday. Already hearing some rumblings out there. So we're going to see what the data actually shows. We're going to see how much of this is wish casting versus how much of it is forecasting. We'll see what the models have to say about it. So we'll, of course, get into that here in just a minute. So thanks for tuning in and chiming in. Always love to see your comments out there. Oh, Miss Jody will be out there managing the comments for you, checking in with you. Tiffany, thank you for the stars on Facebook. I appreciate you. I appreciate all of you guys, how you support AT's weather, either just in liking the video, like right now, hit the like button. Sharing the video right now, hit the share button. Either YouTube, Rumble. I think you got to throw some Rumbles on there. Twitter, and then, of course, on Facebook as well. So all of you guys, thanks for watching on all those platforms. And as usual, on Facebook, I'll post the link if you're having trouble when I do go live and you're not getting alerts. I'll show you where that is here in a second. Guys on YouTube, always checking in. I see you, Jim. Appreciate you. Scorpio, you better come and see me this Saturday in Tulsa. So I will be at the Woodland Hills Mall for the annual Severe Weather Expo that we have. We had one here in Oklahoma City at Penn Square Mall about a month ago. And we'll also have one at Woodland Hills Mall. So we did that. Good grief, this is going on. They took a couple years off for COVID, but prior to that, we were on like a 6-year streak or something. It was pretty good. I mean, you guys come out in droves for that thing, so they love it up there. Robert will be there. Good deal. All right, so let's see here. Make sure everything else is up and running. Everybody's good. All right. Again, there's that link on Facebook if you're having trouble getting notified when I go live. I will notify you directly in your DMs. I will slide up in your DMs, but on a good way, ladies. Jody gets some stuff in her DMs, and I'm just shaking my head. You dudes, man, no shame, no shame in the internet game. I'm telling you, it's rough out there. All right, let's get on with the program, shall we? Here's a look at what's happening out there currently with the satellite viewpoint. We do have a little spitting in the atmosphere, but it's out across the coastline of Louisiana and Mississippi and Alabama. So an upper level low is down there spiraling around. It's not a tropical storm system. It's just an upper low that kind of formed over the Gulf from the pattern change that occurred in the jet stream. And this will drift on up to the north. But what it did do is part of an overall pattern that shut down our severe weather season as far as anything tornadic goes for a little while, which is nice. And we still do have kind of a weird jet stream configuration going on in the extended. So we're not going to have a whole lot of opportunities for severe weather for April, which is usually unheard of. We're supposed to be in a very active April due to the transition from a La Nina to an El Nino being in a neutral pattern. I was thinking about doing a blog on that, and I may do that here this week or for the weekend, kind of show what that looks like. But as of right now, man, things are looking pretty good. Temperatures today, they were toasty. Did you like it? Did you love this weather? 80s out there, 70s out there, and some 90s in the Panhandle. Now that's come on, that's a little carried away. Out there currently, though, we've got a lot of 60s out there and some 70s sneaking in, so it is starting to cool down. It's nice, cool evenings. This is actually kind of weather I enjoy. Here's a look at the wind speeds out there. So very light winds now taking shape, exception out into the Panhandle. So here's again a look on Friday. Storm Prediction Center does have an outlined risk here across the midsection of the country. This is what it looks like when you zoom into our neck of the woods. So it does cover all of central and eastern Oklahoma in a slight risk of severe weather. If you break that down here from the National Weather Service, they have large hail damaging winds. They do not have the word tornado in here, which, we'll see. We'll take a look at that here in a second. If you look at Tulsa, same idea, a large part of the area underneath the slight risk of severe storms. They mention a lot of uncertainties. Uncertain. Potential. Conditional. A lot of words out there to describe what may happen on Friday. Here's a look at the AI. Predicts the algorithms to see what's going to happen with the storm system. It doesn't have anything really for tornadoes. It's got a little bit of an area outlined here in brown for hail, about the lowest category there is to even show up. And same thing for wind, even lower than that. So the smart algorithms are not too excited about it. If we do take a look at some of the conditions and the parameters, let's take a look here. By the way, I see you, Robert, for some stars tonight, so I appreciate you, sir. Thank you, Shelly, as well. You guys are awesome. And then who else we have in here on Facebook? Lindsay, we've got work to do at the lake this weekend. Oh, wait till you see what I've got for you then. You're going to like this. Diana, also thank you for the stars, and Ron as well. Okay, so here's a look at the upper levels. This is the jet stream at around 300 millibars. We need, again, for storms, we're going to look for what we have for ingredients for storms to form. And what we're lacking here is a large area of wind. We don't have it here over Oklahoma. Here's the increase of the jet right here, which is coming in too little too late, so it's late to the party. This color represents stronger winds. That needs to be over Oklahoma. So we don't have good exhaust overhead for thunderstorms to develop. Along the dry line, we will have a little bit of lift along the dry line, but that's normal. This is for Friday afternoon and evening right here along this boundary in western Oklahoma. Let's take a look at the moisture. Does the moisture return? Well, as you know out there now, it feels pretty quiet, or pretty decent. Kind of not dry, but not moist either. It's like right in the sweet spot. So that's where you have these dew point values in the 40s across Oklahoma. Now, down here in the Gulf Coast is where you get the 60s. So we need the 60s up here to get some storms. Let's see what happens. I'll go into Thursday, and not bad. We're still pretty decent here as far as feeling good. And then, boom, we do get those low 60s that sneak in here late Friday afternoon, right up the I-35 corridor. By the time we head to the 7 o'clock hour, and some of these will dip here into southwestern Oklahoma around the Lawton area, kind of a sweet spot of convergence for some better dew point values. So in other words, we do have some low-level moisture coming in, but it is very late. It's coming at the last window again. How many times have I told you this? We've had these rushes of the moisture, of the humidity, and the dew points come in, right at the last minute that it has a chance to do anything. And that's been really helping us out as far as limiting severe weather. All right, let's take a look at the cap. Let's see if that thing builds in. So there's Friday. Let's go to Friday morning. So we start the day. All these brighter colors, by the way, is the strength of the cap that you see here across all this part of Oklahoma. So that would kind of prevent storms from forming. So let's see. Let's go into the afternoon hours. Let's see where it weakens. So there's 4, 5 o'clock. Here's 6 o'clock. Okay, so right here, 6 o'clock, in this area here, see this little guy right here and this little guy right here? This is actually a storm that developed. See right here, there's no cap. In other words, there's no colors on the map. So here it says an uncapped atmosphere develops, and that will allow some storms to form along the dry line as part of the state. Where that better moisture is, down here in southwest Oklahoma, there is a little weakness right here along the dry line, but it doesn't last long, and it fills right back in. So it's only about a 1 to 2 hour window from about 6 to 7 o'clock to maybe we'll call it 5:30 to 7:30, something like that, before the cap builds back in. And the models do not produce any storms here, but they kind of continue some storms up here into Kansas. And this is a mega cap that builds in for the evening hours. So you would have to have a storm rooted and already going to survive it all tomorrow evening. And right now, guys, I'm poo-pooing on the potential for storms because of what I'm seeing. All right, here's a look at the tornado parameter at 7 o'clock in the evening for Friday. There's a little sweet spot way down here around Lawton, right in this spot right here, down to northwestern Texas. But again, looks like the cap may hold in that area. If we do look at the close-up view of the Cape and Shear overlay, you can see the Cape values have increased here across the I-35 corridor, even out here to parts of northwest Oklahoma, quite a bit, down here in the southwest. If I were just to put pick a forecast sounding, though, for the Lawton area, just see what the parameters look like in the atmosphere. Really decent Cape values up around 2,000 plus. We do still have a cap in place. It's anywhere from about 40 to 70, which can be broke if you have a lot of convergence in the dry line and some things are going on, but it's not that. Yeah, it's all those little deals where I'm pretty sure the cap's probably going to hold. Plus, the cloud bases are pretty high These will be high-based rotating thunderstorms. In other words, they'll be, if they were to form, they would be supercells that do rotate, and they will be producing some significant hail based off the analogs and the ship model up around 1.8, which does mean you could have hail up around golf ball size once it gets up to about that size, about that number, that value. Again, the shear is decent enough for rotating, but aloft, shears are pretty weak at this point, the wind speeds. So our hodograph isn't all that great. So it'd be a messy thunderstorm that were to be to form. It wouldn't be your classic standard, deal. Probably be a hail maker, be a hybrid monster with hail and pockets of wind. I don't think it'd produce a tornado, even though the possible hazard type says marginal. I don't think there's enough going on to make that happen. So anyway, so that's what's going on around the Lawton area. Should a storm form in this area. Now up here in northwest Oklahoma, where the storms did try to fire, they are going to be very high based. I mean, way up here. A lot too much dry air at the lower levels. These would be high based rotating hailers is all that would be for those. Not a whole lot of rain, probably just some hail mixed in with them, and then they'd be going into Kansas. So the bottom line is we got a lot of moisture starved conditions across the state. Let's see if the model's produced any thunderstorms in here. So let's go. By the way, let's back this up to Thursday. Just to let you know, in the Panhandle tomorrow afternoon, there will be some thunderstorms out here. They didn't take a whole lot of moisture to get some storms in the Panhandle, so just to let you know. But they'll die out by evening. Okay, so let's go into Friday itself. Let's go to the afternoon, 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. So there's a couple of these thunderstorms out here forming just around the Woodward area and points north. Those go into Kansas through 7 and 8. I won't say fall apart, but they're just mediocre. Let's see. For the evening, though, nothing happens down here, which, again, the models seem to think that the cap is going to hold. Let me see if the tech model ever finished coming in. And no, it's slow. So that's okay. We don't need it. If we do look here at the close-up view of the situation down here at 7 o'clock, we can show you where you kind of have a couple of convergence zones at 6 o'clock. So this is where... let's see, let me put this, it kind of snakes around like this. So this is our dry line, and this is where we have this hot, dry, southwesterly wind right here. And then you kind of got the moisture coming in with kind of a south-southeasterly wind here. So there's not a whole lot of direct convergence along this dry line. This kind of parallels it. So again, that's another reason why I just don't think you got enough to break the cap down here to overcome that little bit of a lid. Whereas up here, you have a little better vector, not a whole lot, but a little better vector to get some of those thunderstorms to go, even though, and temperatures aloft be a little cooler, so the cap would be a lot weaker, but you just don't have a whole lot of moisture. So in either way, you're really not looking at ideal conditions. Okay, so let's go on into the temperatures. Now, it should be pretty decent. If you like today, you'll probably like tomorrow. A little toasty out in west. Let's go to 5 o'clock, 4 o'clock. So we're looking at 80s out here across western Oklahoma. Panhandle again up around 90. I know that's a little toasty for you guys out there. Otherwise, upper 70s here in central and in eastern Oklahoma. Overnight lows getting into that Bermuda grass level of growing, right? So 60s. Let's see, by the time we head into 7 o'clock on Friday morning, we're looking at upper 50s to a few 60s out there. And as we head into Friday afternoon, another warm day out across western Oklahoma, so back into the mid-80s. Northwest Oklahoma around 90. Again, another reason why that cap breaks. Lawton only about 82, so again, not quite warm enough. Otherwise, temperatures out to the upper 70s near 80 out across eastern Oklahoma on Friday. Then there is a little weak front that does come through. That'll drop us down into the 40s out across western Oklahoma Saturday morning. Still be in the 60s in the east until that front finally clears the state. And we'll go ahead and take a sneak peek at Saturday afternoon. And I'm going to show you the weekend temperatures for Sunday. So let's go to Saturday, right, 4 o'clock. So Saturday's a little cooler. We do have some 50s up across the north. 60s basically across the I-40 corridor and points down to the south. Probably some 70s along the Red River Valley. So when you kind of move it all around, this is how things will look. So upper 70s for Thursday. About 81 on Friday. The weekend right around, we'll call it 70. That may be a stretch. Depends on what time this front comes in for Saturday morning. And then if we really get to rebound much during the day, which we probably won't. So again, it'll probably take about 10 degrees off this for Saturday afternoon for temperatures. Otherwise, Sunday looks really good after a cool start. And then we're back into the upper 70s and low 80s after that. Overnight lows back into those low 60s at times. So actually the details for the extended outlook look pretty good. So that's what I've got here for you. If you're, coming here, Ron. Yeah. By the way, thank you, Destiny, for some more stars. Shelly and Paula, thank you as well, ladies. So yeah, poo-poo is a term is a valid terminology to use when there's a lot of excitement over something that's probably not going to deliver. Now I'll look at data, obviously the new stuff that comes in tomorrow for Thursday, but I kind of took a peek at this since last Sunday when I did the blog. I just wasn't excited about it. I'm still not excited about it. So if you came here hoping for gloom and doom and hype and hysteria, you came to the wrong place. So I'm sorry. Now, if I see the data come around and it says something different, I'll tell you. But for right now, that's what it shows. So I don't wish cast. I just forecast. And I tell you, I base the forecast off the actual data, not what I want to happen or wish would happen. So it is what it is. Because honestly, if I were to forecast what I wish would happen, it would probably be San Diego weather all the time. Because I'm getting old and I'm getting old and cynical in my later years. I don't want this stuff anymore. I like it nice and calm, cool, and collected. Mary's in the house with the stars. Thank you very much, Mary. Appreciate you. Let's see. Yeah, the tornado count is actually pretty high, AJ. The big outbreaks that we had for, what was it, March 31st, and then a week later in April, those just, cranked up the numbers. We had a pretty decent, February, and even a couple in January. So we kind of got a good start to the season. We got kind of a lull, here for April for much of the country. And then, of course, May usually delivers somewhere. Usually here in Oklahoma, that's when our peak is normally. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. But, yeah, I mean, it's been, depends on where you live, Chris says, I want to recap. I missed the whole thing. Now, Chris, what is your excuse? Unless you say putting the kids to bed, there is no excuse. Kids come first. I come second. But beyond that, if you're having trouble getting notified, here, I'll put this link in there. Right there. You can click on that. You can opt in, and I'll send you a notification directly in your direct message. That way you don't miss it. You can tune in and get it. But since you did ask, I will tell you. So hang there 2 seconds. Robert, I don't pay attention to that clown, so neither should you. Matter of fact, there's so many clowns out there on the internet now. It's part of it's frustrating. So this is what I have to do, just so you guys know. When I first got in TV back in the mid '90s, there were a lot of what we call rip and readers. Rip and readers were faces for television. They weren't meteorologists. They were just weather people, a weather man, a weather woman, whatever. They were just telling you the weather. They really didn't know what they were talking about. All right, they could fake it, right, till they make it. So that's what it was in the TV world, and I despised that because I was a meteorologist. I did my due diligence. I paid my dues. I paid my fees, and suffered through 4.5 years of chemistry, physics, mathematics, to all the way to theoretical stuff that you would never use, computer program science, all that kind of stuff. And so in my profession, I was like, you aren't even qualified to hold the piece of paper I'm handing you. That was the attitude I had coming out of college, right? Because I looked at it, as, hey, you're taking up jobs for people that are actually qualified. And it took me a while to calm down and just go, you know what? Everybody's trying to feed their family. Just let them do what they got to do. And I just let it go because, what are you going to do, right? It is what it is. It's the nature of the business. And not everybody's qualified. And I wish in our field, you had to be qualified to have a voice. I wish if you didn't have the right education, you couldn't open up your mouth. But that is not the case. Just like if you were to go to a doctor, they're not a surgeon. They're not, unless they're qualified, they're not cutting you open. If you go to Mexico, it's a different story. But here in the U.S., so we don't have that in the weather community like they have that in the medical community. So, whatever. It is what it is. So I let all that stuff go. And then we started this whole internet world, right? So I'm getting out there and I'm doing my thing and I decided, 2010, let's do this whole Facebook thing. Let's turn it into weather and then let's see where it goes from there. And then it'll do a live broadcast and it blew up from there. In those early days, I was called the internet meteorologist as a slang term, and now they all do it because, nobody had any actual intelligence to foresee the future. So they would just trash the one guy that was doing it. I should have trademarked that thing. I'd be a rich man. Anyway, so I did my own thing there, and then I was like one of just a few, right? For meteorologists, actually did this for last, for several years since the early 2010s. But now every Tom, Dick, and Harry that can pull up a computer model is giving out weather, and you guys don't know who's degreed and who isn't. And I'm right back to where I was when I was a kid out of college. I'm just like irritated. I'm just like, ugh, I'm just like, you know what? Same thing as before. Just do this, do you. Don't worry about them. If they make a ton of money ripping people off and being frauds and cons, whatever. You know what? I always say this. They're the ones that look at themselves in the mirror and sleep at night. It turns out con men do it all the time just well. So that saying is really dumb. I don't know whoever came up with that, but it doesn't apply to people that actually have no ownership. So I just let it go. Like, whatever, those guys can do whatever they want. So, but when you guys bother me with that stuff, that's what irritates me. So I'm like, quit listening to those clowns, right? So anyway, I always tell it to you straight. And I'm not going to tell you a bunch of hoopla and nonsense. But anyway, so that's what I had to say. And I sleep just fine not being a con man. That's my choice in life. But so if you're late and you want to get a real quick recap, we talked about the threat for severe storms on Friday with the dry line kind of setting up across western Oklahoma. And right now, there's really no good upper jet support. Moisture comes in late. Cap is in place. What else? If a storm were to form, it'd probably be kind of a supercellular structure, but a hybrid, which would be messy, which means probably just mostly hail. Pockets of wind, I'm sure, as usual the case. High base storm because of the lack of deep moisture, so therefore tornado threat's probably non-existent. And that's even assuming a storm can form. Two areas, northwest Oklahoma up around Woodward, going into Kansas. Those will be really high base with some hailers. Then the one down there around the Lawton area will be the secondary target area. But for right now, models hold the cap in place. It looks like to me the cap would hold, so I'm not really calling for anything. So we'll just see what happens with tomorrow's data. But for right now, I would say this is pretty much a waste of a potential for rain, which is really what we need. We'll have to wait till the next one. So anyway, that's what I had here for you. So if you missed it, that was what the summation was we talked about tonight. And I showed you all the pretty colors to back up the claims. All right, well, that's it for me. You guys be good. I will look at some more data tomorrow. If anything changes, I'll let you know. Meanwhile, thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you on the next live broadcast. And as always, if you're ever in the world of house hunting, you find out the fact that, you know what, I'm tired of paying rent, or it's time to move on to bigger and better. Maybe it's time to downsize. Be sure to give a holler out to me or Jody at Team Tuttle Realty. We'll help you out so you can find either the home of your dreams or get a good price for what you have currently. In today's market, still low inventories. There's not a whole lot to choose from, so you're still getting pretty good money for your value when you do sell your house. And if you're looking for a home, there's a lot of multiple offers still ongoing. So if you'd like to know more about all that kind of stuff, hit me up there as well. So yes, I can multitask. Yes, I don't live in one box. Yes, I have a brain, and I can actually use it in other ways. So for those that just say, you're only allowed to do weather, I'm like, I'm feeding my family. I don't know about you, but it's dumb to not be able to have other ideas to generate income in this environment. If you haven't looked out the window of your bubble, it's a zoo out there, man. From the Fed to the interest rates to the CPI to overseas to war. Every time I tune in, I'm like, are we going to make it? So I got to do what I can to survive. I hope you do the same. All right, you guys have a great night, and we'll talk again soon. Take care.